Hi, this is Logan, I'm Anna, and this is Alex, and we're going to be talking about Coca-Cola Bottling Company Consolidated, and we have created a strategic analysis for them. So first we're going to start off with an internal environmental analysis. So some of the strengths for the company are automation. This helps the whole distribution process run really smoothly from beginning to end. Also a highly skilled workforce. So the company really invests in its employees through training, educational programs. It's constantly making sure they're growing. Another is a strong distribution network. So as I spoke to a little bit with the automation, it's really strong not only for that, but also with all the partnerships the company has created. So it has several alliances with distribution companies throughout the area. Also successful mergers and acquisitions. So the company is really good at merging with other companies, which is why it has become consolidated today and has grown at the size it has. And then another is corporate social responsibility. So the company really participates in this, and this makes it stand apart from the competitors because people can see that it's doing good, not just, making financial earns, but it's doing good for the community. Some weaknesses, though, are lacking investment in research and development. So this kind of sets the company back because it doesn't really put a lot of its financial investment into moving forward with research. So this is somewhere they could definitely grow. It also has some limited success outside of core business. So it's tried to put its hands in other areas, but really its core business is only where it's been really successful. And then there have been a few unsuccessful integrations of firms, basically because they have different cultures. So the company isn't great with merging with other firms that are too different in culture than itself. And then the last weakness is inefficient financial planning. So the company could definitely focus on putting more time and effort into financial planning, and that will help set itself ahead even more. So for the external analysis, some opportunities are new technology standards. So as technology continues to grow and become a bigger part of our lives, this is really good for the company because it can utilize that as a huge advantage. Also, government free trade agreements. This has really opened up a lot of opportunities for the company as the government provides more agreements and more possibilities. New customers from the online channel. This is huge because with the presence in the online channel, this opens up an entire new marketplace that would be harder to reach physically. And so using that online channel is great and also plays really well into consumer trends because as we've seen within the last decade, e-commerce has been really on the rise. And so this is a great opportunity for the company to really utilize that. And then lower shipping costs. This has been really helpful in lowering input costs because the lower the shipping costs are, the less they could either make a higher profit or they could just lower their costs for consumers. However, there are some threats such as changing consumer buying behavior. So one day there may be a trend that's really working for the company, but then as soon as consumers get a new trend, then the company will have to change and try to match those. Also competitor development. So as they develop, the company needs to do so as well because that will leave them at a risk of being behind. And then changing product standards and liability laws. If these change in a way that could harm the company, this could really set it back and keep it from moving forward. And then finally, rising input costs. This also could help and could harm the company as it could increase the cost for customers or decrease profitability.
So as a part of the company's purpose statement, Coca-Cola Bottling Company Consolidated wants to serve others, pursue excellence, and grow with a purpose. And my takeaway from that is that, like many other companies, Coca-Cola wants to grow. And through that goal of growth, I found that they have created a growth strategy. And from that, I found that that growth strategy revolves around diversification through acquisitions and expansion through distribution sales and sales centers. And I found this to be the case because as of 2013, the company has expanded into multiple territories and states such as Delaware, Indiana, Virginia, and a number of other states. The company has also acquired a number of manufacturing facilities, which are in Indiana, Maryland, Ohio, and Virginia. And from what I've seen about these acquisitions, they seem to be a pretty good strategic fit, and I found that to be the case because those facilities are pretty sufficiently similar to existing facilities that Coke already has, and they will likely be able to provide fairly similar resources and capabilities that they can convert over once they officially acquire those facilities. And as far as new facilities goes, the company has recently opened a new distribution and sales center in South Carolina, and also has plans to open a new distribution center in Northern Kentucky. And that also seems to be a pretty good strategic fit, since that will further bolster their reach into those new territories, and also aid in their distribution and sales efforts. And all in all, this corporate strategy seems to be it seems to further cement the company's competitive advantage against their competitors as the largest bottling company, or Coca-Cola bottling company, in the U.S. And these new acquisitions and new sales and distribution centers seem to make that competitive advantage more sustainable.
So when we ran the financial analysis, we noticed that net sales have increased each year. In 2015, they were at $2.3 million. In 2016, they were at $3.1 million. And then in 2017, they were at $4.3 million. So they relocated to South Carolina in 2016, which they were in a 70,000 square foot distribution center, and now they doubled their space to 140,000 square feet. That location was expected to produce 9 million cases, which would show the $1.2 million jump from 2016 to 2017. Also, another thing we noticed are that assets are already almost equal to what they were in all of 2017. They're only through the first 3 quarters, so they're on pace to have a better year. One thing that we found was that they did invest $10 million into their Baltimore plant. This allows for new equipment, upgrades to equipment, additional employees, all of which increase the assets. So with new employees, you can get more work done, you can send more out the door. Another thing that we noticed was that the cold drink dispensing equipment was their largest equipment expense that they had. In 2016, it was $484,771, and then in 2017, it was $488,208. Like Alex briefly touched, they are adding new locations all over. They did double their square footage in South Carolina. So these new equipment or upgrade to the equipment is going to be more expensive, so that is justifiable by the locations that they're adding.
So in regards to some of the strategic concerns that we had, in the first meeting, I think it was briefly mentioned that the company had 2 operating systems, and with the growth and expansion that the company has been experiencing, that could obviously cause some issues, such as hindering the manufacturing rate. That would obviously slow some things down. It would also, I would think, cause some technical issues between the 2 systems, as well as some employee confusion. Also, with this problem, it would probably cause some financial issues as well. And finally, if assuming they do integrate both systems together, that would probably be a pretty hefty cost and take some time to be successfully integrated. And the second issue that we had was in regards to the acquisitions of the new facilities and the corporate culture that they have there. The new employees that may have, or the employees that may have stayed at those recently acquired facilities may not have as strong of an allegiance to Coca-Cola Bottling Company Consolidated, because it's a newer company, so there might be some difficulty there, and there might not be as strong of loyalty. Also, I think there would probably likely be some differing operations practices at those facilities. So that could obviously cause some issues as well. And from that would likely further hindrance the manufacturing rate, because they would probably have to stop and train those employees on Coca-Cola's operations practices and their beliefs and other things as well.
So the recommendations we have are to integrate the two operating systems. So it's going to save money in the long run, of course, because you're not going to have to pay for two operating systems. You'll just have to pay for one. Of course, in the short term, you are going to have to pay a pretty decent cost in order to integrate those two together, but definitely it will save money in the future. It's also going to increase efficiency. Having two operating systems can get confusing to employees, and like when to use one, when to use another. So having that one set in stone operating system will help increase the efficiency of the employees. It's also another recommendation. It would also be good to continue to acquire new facilities. Like it was said in the financial analysis, net sales has gone up every single year, and that's in no small part to the addition of new facilities or the upgrade of new facilities. So if you continue to gain new facilities, it's going to increase sales. Also, implementing a stronger culture with newly acquired facilities, it's going to improve employee loyalty. It's going to allow for management to instill values of Coca-Cola Consolidated along with daily operations. It's also going to increase the manufacturing rate. So a strong culture around the workplace is going to increase morale, which in turn will help the employees maybe work harder, work a little bit better. So that's one of the big recommendations we had. So we were asked to answer these two questions. How do we make Coca-Cola Bottling Company more attractive to individuals seeking jobs? I think the main one is to just increase the corporate culture. A stronger culture is definitely something that I think most employees look for in a job. So by increasing that culture, it will make the business a little bit more attractive to work at. The second one was, how can Coca-Cola Bottling Company Consolidated educate the general consumer base about the future increasing cost of Coca-Cola? What we came up with was to just get it out to the media, let everybody know what's going on, maybe run a good advertisement, but don't keep people in the dark. Keeping people in the dark, it's just gonna frustrate people, so definitely make sure that everyone knows what's happening.